You're in for a real treat with this next movie. It stars Jamie Foxx as homeless musical genius Nathaniel Ayres and Robert Downey Jr. as Steve Lopez, who's a newspaper journalist but has no stories to tell.
I'm not asking for sympathy. Scratch that.
What's your name?
Nathaniel Anthony Ayres Jr.
You only got 2 strings.
I've had a few setbacks.
Hi, this is Steve Lopez from the LA Times. I'm calling to see if Nathaniel Ayres attended your school.
He was the most gifted kid I've ever met.
I'm gonna write a column about Nathaniel.
When people heard that you were just playing with 2 strings, some of them thought you might want something better to work with.
I can't cover that.
It's a gift. What does he have? Schizophrenia?
Are you flying that plane?
No, I'm right here.
I'm not always so sure what's going on.
He has no idea what he's saying. I don't want to take full responsibility.
Oh, by all means, avoid full responsibility.
He's sick and he needs a psychiatric hospital.
You don't put me away.
Medication hasn't done him any good.
Nathaniel has one thing going for him.
Until you use me up.
A friend.
Come on, you can do it.
Steve Lopez is a journalist in the firing line. His employer is laying off journalists at the newspaper as ratings fall. Having pursued stories, one happens to cross his path. He encounters Nathaniel Ayres, who's playing beautiful music from a 2-string violin. Nathaniel is a schizophrenic, former Juilliard student who is now a homeless man who is plagued by his demons, but with a dream of playing at the Walt Disney Concert Hall. A friendship soon grows between Lopez and Ayres as the music moves in a wonderfully crafted manner.
Anyway, nice to meet you.
You have any idea how it got here?
Nah.
Maybe they dropped it off late at night. It really blows me away that someone as great as Beethoven is a leader in Los Angeles.
I'm Steve Lopez, LA Times.
Lopez.
What's your name?
Lopez. Nathaniel Anthony Ayres Jr. Nathaniel I apologize for my appearance. I've had a few setbacks.
Me too. Who are Nancy, Paul, and Craig?
Those are my classmates at Juilliard.
We managed to grab the man himself, Mr. Jamie Foxx.
You seldom find scripts in Hollywood that capture a character and all the nuances and everything and have it actually on the page. A lot of times you'll see a script and maybe the idea itself is great, but the script doesn't read well and you have to capture it somewhere in between script changes and the camera work, but the script was just amazing. It's a colorful match. It's a colorful match between 2 people who start off on opposite sides of the spectrum, but end up finding a loving relationship. It's a love story. By having that musical background, it gives you, no matter which instrument you play, it gives you sort of the DNA of every instrument, and you watch. As you watch people play, you pick up the different mannerisms pretty easily, but by having a musical background, that classical piano musical background, it really helps in something like this. The biggest challenge was like letting it go, because you get so into it. The biggest challenge was after, it's like, wow, let's pop back to Jamie Foxx, but all of the other challenges like playing and playing someone like Nathaniel, who's so colorful when you look at it, that's the fun part.
The Soloist is based on a true story, so we caught up with the real Steve Lopez and Nathaniel Ayres.
We met about 3 years ago. It was the winter of 2005. And I was doing what I do most days, which is scrambling around looking for a newspaper column. And I saw this gentleman playing a violin over in Pershing Square. It's an area of downtown Los Angeles. And I looked at him, and there was just something very cool about the way he was playing and the way he looked. And he just looked like just a nice piece of the city life that day, and the music was so beautiful that I just sat and watched for a while. And then when he had a break, I introduced myself, And that was the beginning of this long and wonderful relationship. I envy his talent and the passion that he, there are a lot of people going through this life who never find a passion for something. It's tragic. Mr. Ayers has an advantage over many of us. He has an absolute passion for something. Music is his life. It nurtures his soul, and he shares it with us. And it's so evident when he plays what the music means to him, and I just take great inspiration from that.
The legend that is Robert Downey Jr. took some time out of his busy schedule to speak to us here at Film Fix.
Steve Lopez in The Soloist is a fairly recently divorced, single, verging on workaholic employee at a big corporate publication who's out there chasing stories. The upside for him is that his stories tend to be about people and things that are perhaps a little more interesting to pursue, or at least for him, than, crime or entertainment or whatever. Not only do people start responding by letters and emails, but they also start sending instruments, because the first article explains that he's got the world on 2 strings and that he's playing this violin, but there's only 2 strings on it. Then, as it happens, as he's researching his background, he finds out that violin isn't even actually his instrument of choice. It's cello. And then people start literally and did send in string instruments for him to play. Steve is changed in so much as that there's parts of him that are dead or subconsciously really, really, really repressed, and they kind of come to the forefront. Mostly, though, if I had to say in a word, is Steve is changed by being of service.
A great film about friendship and hardship, and of course it tackles the global issue that is poverty. It's out everywhere from the 25th of September.